Today in Unit 4, Lesson 2, we're going to be talking about patterns. We're going to be using multiples of 10 and looking at the products of two factors that have zeros in them, like these two factors, 20 and 10, both have a zero in them. And we're going to be looking for patterns and seeing why these patterns might change. And in this first example, 20 times 10, we know to multiply 2 times 1 to get 2, multiplying our whole numbers, and then adding the two zeros to come up with a product of 200. In the product 200, we have two zeros. We understand where those zeros came from. One of them came from here, and the other one came from here. It makes total sense that the product would have two zeros because there were two zeros in our factors. You might be able to predict then exactly how many zeros are going to be in your product by just counting the zeros. In this prediction, you might predict that there's going to be 3 zeros in your product. And 6 times 3 is 18. And we have 2 zeros here and 1 here. So we're going to add 3 zeros and our prediction would be right. But don't be so quick to make that prediction and check your answers based on the number of zeros that you see. Because sometimes seeing is not believing. Let's take this example, 400 times 50. In this example, we're going to take our 4, multiply it by 5 to get 20. And notice when we multiply both of these whole numbers, we're getting a product that already has a 0 in it. This is a hidden 0. And then we're going to add to our product the 3 zeros. So in this case, we could see that there was a hidden 0. That hidden 0 was within the 5 times 4 product, which is 20. So you couldn't just look at the number of zeros in your two factors and say, my answer is going to have 3 zeros. You could mentally figure that out knowing that 5 times 4 contains a 0 and know that there's going to be 4 zeros. On page 121, number 2, they're asking you to find the product to these questions down here. With each of these questions, they're breaking them down. And so 5 times 20, they're breaking it down into 5 times 2 times 10. They're taking the 2 and breaking it down into 2 times 10, which is the same thing as 20. Then they're solving 5 times 2, boxing it, solving it, and then rewriting it. And then you should be solving this answer, and this one would be 100. And what we see here are 2 zeros. Now I would like you to go ahead and solve the rest of these, the 3 other problems here. Show your answers over here as I did. Take a look at the products and the number of zeros in those products and find the pattern. And up here, number 2, write in your answer to how the number of zeros in the product relate to the number of zeros in the factors. And the first one, we see only 1 0 in one of the factors. There is only 1 0 total in both factors, yet in our answer, in our product, we have 2 zeros. And so you will find the remaining products and discover the pattern and write that pattern here. Finish those up and then come back for the remainder of the lesson. Number 3 is asking you to do the same thing as they asked you to do in number 2. So again, you're going to find the product of each of these questions, and then in the lines up here, you're going to write how the number of zeros in the product related to the number of zeros in the factors. Were there just as many zeros? Were there more or less zeros? And then down here at number 4, explain why the product sometimes has an extra 0. Why is that? Explain that in your own words. And here on the bottom part of 122, they're asking you to decide how many zeros there will be and then solve. So I want you to make a prediction. And you can do this mentally. And the easy prediction would be 1, 1, 2, 2. But you know it isn't going to be that easy after having done the work before this. So solve them Make predictions first, then solve, then go back and review your answers for accuracy. And then complete numbers 9 and 10. When you're completing 9 and 10, please circle the numbers, underline the question, apply the skills that I taught you in word problems and make it personal to you. We shouldn't have a problem understanding what calculations we need to make here because the unit is focused on multiplication, so I would be expecting that. And good luck in completing those two questions.